Hi guys, and welcome back. This is day 3 on our journey to take a mobile, an anonymous chat mobile app from an idea all the way to the App Store. Now, last time we created our Xamarin Forms project and we have a basic application. Today we will look at improving the project with icons and animations, and also have a look on the structure of the project itself. So let's get started. So this is the project we built last time. As you can see, it's a simple application that just says welcome to Xamarin Forms and Prism. So let's first take a look at the structure of our project. Now, as you can see here, we have chat.android, the chat.iOS, and the chat project. We have 3 projects in total. Now, the way this app is compiled, it takes all of the functionality from the shared project, which is our chat over here, and then it compiles it and it compiles it and it transforms all of our functionality into either Android or iOS for development. Now, if you want to have a look further on this, there's a very good documentation on the Microsoft page. So if we search for Xamarin Forms Microsoft, there we go. I'll just click get started, and in here, actually that's not what I wanted. .NET with one Xamarin Forms Microsoft Docs over here. There we go. So on docs.microsoft.com, there's a very good documentation on how you can get yourself accustomed to the project that Xamarin Forms uses. So in here we can see how we can install it, and also on the left you have a list of all of the available functionality and components that Xamarin Forms have. So you can see have a label. Let me get back. So you have labels, text entry, text editors, databases, how to style it. So if you want to have a more in-depth look, just go to docs.microsoft.com and type in Xamarin Forms. So let's get back to our project. Now, as you can see, we have our shared project in here, and we're using the Prism framework to build it. Now, let me take you to Xamarin Forms Prism as well. Now, Prism has some pre-built functionality that's very useful. There we go. So there's prismlibrary.com, and in here you can just find some basic documentation on what Prism does and how it works, and again all of the functionalities that are available within this framework. But just to give you a quick overview, it uses dependency injection for our services. So we have a pre-built navigation service to navigate from one page to another, and you can see here, so this is our app.xaml.cs. This gets run the first time the application is built, and after the application runs, it just says navigate to main page. And if we let me close this app for now. So let's say we want to add a new page here, and we're gonna go new item. We're gonna select Prism on here on the left, and we're gonna say we want a content page, and we're gonna rename this to be our loading page. Now, as soon as we add the page in here in our views, you can see that it's added a view model in the backend, and if we go to app.xaml.cs, we can see it's also registered that page so we can navigate to it. And if we change this code here to navigate to the loading page instead of the main page, now a better way of navigating is using the name of the page rather than using strings. So there we go. Do we have anything in the line? Let's just add a stack layout make it the same size as the screen, and just add a label. Actually, let's add a button in the center of the stack layout. Let's set the text as click me, and our background color to, not background but background color, background color to dark green. There we go. So I'll save that, I'll run the project, and you will see that it's gonna navigate to our loading page instead of the main page that we had previously. So let's give it a minute. There we go. So we have a button right here in the middle. Y is so center. I would have expected this to be right here in the center. Let's vertical. There we go. So we have a button right in the middle of the app. So that's our shared project. Now in our Android and iOS project, this is where we'll add any images or fonts that we might use that are specific for this specific device for that project. So now that we've gone through a basic overview on how that project is structured, let's have a look at adding some fonts to our app. Now for this, I'm gonna use a blog because I don't know it by heart. So let's do Xamarin Forms add material fonts. And James has a very good blog over here on how we can add material fonts to our app. So let's go through it together. Now, it also tells us how to add font awesome, I believe, but we'll just go through to add material fonts. So first thing we need to do is go to material design icons, and in here you can see that there's a web page where you can see all of the available icons that we can use through this app. Now we'll go to the GitHub repository, we'll go to material design web font, and we will download this to our desktop. So now that we have it downloaded, let's just extract it here. And what we need to take from this is just the TTF file. So I can just go in the project and let's have a look. So if we go back to the blog, it says that this needs to be added to the assets folder on Android, and on iOS it needs to be added to the main project file and set as a bundle resource. Let's have a look. So we'll add it to the assets folder in our Android project. So that is right here in our downloads, fonts and TTF file, and as well in our iOS project. Again, let's go to downloads, design, fonts, and our TTF file. Now let's go back to our blog post. Next thing we need to do is we need to import that family into our mobile app. So we'll do this in our shared project. So app.xaml is the first resource that gets loaded when the app runs. So we can just add this here. So on iOS it's just called material design icons, and Android needs the name of the font and what the file name is called, and we will need it for our universal media Windows media player. So now that we've added these here, we'll still need to have a way so we can access these fonts, and we can do that by using a website, which I'll just click it here. We need to select our TTF file again. So fonts, material design icons, open that, and this processes the font file, and it gives us a C# class with all of the available codes for each icon. So I can copy this to the clipboard. I will create a new folder in our shared project. I'll just call it settings, and in here I'm gonna create a new class. I'm gonna call it chat settings, and I will paste the code from the website. Now, to use these, we will make this static class public, and it says here at the top, if we change the class to public, and in order to use it, you should also change the fields from a constant to a public static read only. So I will just highlight the constant keyword. I'll do a Control F to bring up the search box. I'll click on this drop down arrow that will replace constant with static and read only. So I'll replace it with that. I'll click replace all, and that will replace all my 5,941 icons. We'll save that. So let's see how this works in our app. We've added the fonts, we've added our static class with our icon fonts. Let's go back to our loading page view model and declare a property which will be a string, and it will be called first icon. So let's give this property a value. So this string icon will so what I'm doing here, let me just say it as well. We have this public static class as well, icon font. So if I go back in here and I paste it, and I highlight it and do Control and dot, this will bring me the helper setting saying, do you want to import that namespace to use that that static class? And I'll just say yes, and that imports our class. If I click that again, we can we have access to all of the icons from that font. So let's just select one. We'll do a hourglass. That's it doesn't have it, so we can go back here and let's click on material design icons. It's a good thing to also copy this link and put it in here, just to say icons can be searched at, and paste this website in, and let's see our class has anything. There we go. So it's actually called timer sand full. Let's go back to our landing page. We'll call it timer sand full. There we go. So as soon as this page loads, the first icon, the value for the first icon will be this one here. So if we go back to our static class and search for that, it's actually this string value that represents the hourglass icon. Now we've set that up in our view model, and this view model is bound to the actual view itself, which is this landing page, and we will need to pull it into our view as well. So let's add a label after the button. We'll set its horizontal option to center as well, its vertical options to center, and its text we will actually say it's being pulled from the backend view model, which is our first icon text. We can set its font size to be large and its color to be blue or black. Let's say black. Let's run this app and see if our icon comes through in here. So let's close the app to recompile it. And it hasn't picked it up, and that's because we haven't set the font family for the label. So it's currently trying to display that strange value, and it doesn't know how to. So let's set that up in here. We'll say font family, and that is a static research which we've set in our app.xaml, and we've given it a name of material font family. So let's just do static resource and the material font family name, and if we refresh that, there we go, there's our hourglass. So that's black. We can also set its color to, let's say, blue, and give a larger font size of 42. And yeah, now we have icons added to the app. Next, let's try and add animations to the app as well. Now, to do that, we need to import a GitHub library, which is called so GitHub, it's called Lottie. It's a library by Airbnb, funny enough, and we can use this to import animations easily into Xamarin Forms. So to do this, we right click and go to manage NuGet packages. We can see all of the packages that are currently installed. Before we install any new packages, I recommend we update the existing packages. So let's go to updates. Now, whenever you need to update packages, I recommend you starting with the Xamarin Forms first and then updating the other packages. That's because if it tries to update any of the other packages first, before Xamarin Forms, it's gonna fail, saying Xamarin Forms is a lower version than required. So I'm gonna update Xamarin Essentials next. And Prism last. So let's go to browse and type Lottie and Xamarin, and this will bring us our Lottie Xamarin NuGet package. Now we need to install the Xamarin Forms one, and we need to install it in all of the projects we have created. So I'll okay that, and it also gives us an example on how we can use this. Now, as you can see here, the animation needs a JSON file to be pulled, and we can easily download animations from any animations. There's a page with free animations which is called Lottie files. There we go. So in here in Lottie files, if we scroll down, we can see that there are a lot of JSON animations that we can download from. Let's log in first, so I can just log in with our AverageJoeDev at outlook.com. there we go. So we need to discover free animations. Now there are a lot over here. Let's try something with globe, because we're building our anonymous chat application with world leaders, so a globe animation would be nice. Now this looks nice for our loading animation. So let's download this animation for now. Just gonna click on it. I will set its background to dark, its animation speed to 1, and then just download it as a JSON file. So that's downloaded. We need to import it in the same place we imported our fonts, our web fonts. So let's add this to our assets folder. And this should be in our downloads folder. So, let's rename it first. So we're gonna call this globe loading. There we go. So let's import it into our project. And into our iOS project as well. There we go. Now that we've imported our JSON animation, we need to import the namespace as well so we can use it. So in our loading page .xaml, we'll import the namespace, and we can just copy this example, and I'll overwrite and paste it in here. We can remove the click command because we don't have any click bound to it, and we can set it to repeat indefinitely. If we set the repeat count to -1, the repeat mode to infinite. I'm gonna change the stack to grid as well. That's because animations don't play very well with stack layouts. They do a lot better in grid layouts. So let's see if that has loaded our animation on here. Oh, there we go. It has errored. The directory is not empty. That's so let's try that again, shall we? Let me zoom in a bit so you can see the code a bit better. So it's found the emulator device, and now, yeah, now it's gonna start. No idea what happened there. But the animation is not playing. It is not. So that's fill. Let's try setting this background color to black. Oh, there we go, because we haven't set the name of the JSON file to the one we actually copied. So that will be globe loading. I'm not sure if it's gonna Oh, there you go. It's picked it up right away as soon as we change the name. So there's our animation. That's our, we can use this as our loading animation when we need to pull any data before we display it. Now let's have a look and see if we can find any animation for our actual loading screen when people get the app. I'm liking this animation, also this animation, these two. Let's try this one first. Yeah, that looks good. Let's download the JSON file. Rename it. We'll go, oh, that's not the one. Loading animation. We'll stop running this. We'll import it into our Android asset folder. Loading animation, and into our iOS project as well. Loading animation, and we'll change this to loading. So let's see how that looks. Found the emulator again, which is good. But that is not showing again. We didn't loading animation.json. Yeah, the only thing we did, we just changed the name, so that should work. So this is our Android. Still not showing anything. Yeah, there's nothing we can do to the actual file itself. Now Visual Studio is having a quick hiccup. There we go. So there's nothing I can actually do to the JSON file. Let's try this one here, see if this one works. Let's see if we have a better one though. Ooh, that's ugly. No. That doesn't look bad, but not as good as the first ones. Oh, look at this. This is similar to the one we tried earlier. Only a different background, a different color for the actual globe. Let's try and see if this one works. So let's copy that through. I'm gonna stop our project. I'm gonna rename this one again, so that will be our loading animation version 2. We'll add it again to our assets on our Android device, and we'll add it to our iOS device as well. And that's our animation. Good. So we need to change this. That's our v2. Let me just confirm with a loading capital A. Oh, I had loading. No, no. Yeah, I did. So let's try the first one first. See if that gets picked up. There we go. I didn't really recognize that the name was incorrect. And it's told me failed parsing overlays. Let's just clean the solution and rebuild it. That error doesn't tell me anything. Just Visual Studio having another hiccup. So that's compiling. And let's test this out, see if our initial animation will load and run. There you go. So what? Yeah, I forgot. Well, it's not that I forgot to change the name. I changed the name incorrectly, and that's why it didn't run properly. But now we have two animations. So if I do a v2 here and save that, that will pick up. Will it? Oh, and a capital A as well. So it's well, it's exactly the same. Let's rebuild the animation, see if it picks up. Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the same, even though in here it's not, is it? It's slightly different. Is it though? So if I go on the first page where we downloaded our first sample, it was this one here. Yeah, and that looks exactly like this one, doesn't it? Don't like those lines there in the background. Let's see if the other one looks a bit smoother. So we have loading animation, save that. Now it's exactly the same. So that's our animation. Now let's build our loading page using this animation, and we'll just add the name of the app underneath. So for that I'm gonna use this grid, but I'm gonna split it into a 60%, a 60-40 split. So I'm gonna put the animation at the top in the 60%, yeah, half of the grid. So let's do that now. I will say this grid has row definitions, and the first row definition height is 60%. Now this star, this asterisk at the end, is the percentage sign that will take the part of the screen. If I just left it at 60, that would just take it 60 pixels on the screen. By adding this star, it's just gonna be 60% of the screen. Now let's add another row definition, set its height to 40%, and we'll say that this animation will be in the first row of the grid, and the row numbering starts from 0. So this will be in the first row, which is 0, and if I save that, that will move it slightly at the top. Now let's add a label. I will add a grid. That's because we'll need to set the label from 2 different words. So I'll just add another grid. I'll set its horizontal options to take the whole row. So grid, no, vertical options, it will be a fill and expand as well. This will be in the grid row 1. So this will be a grid in the second row of the initial grid. And let's see how we're gonna build this. So what I'll do is I'll split this grid into two columns, two equal columns. So I'll do grid column definitions, so column definition width, and this will be, I can either do 50% like so, or I can do 0.5. It's the same thing. So column definition again, with it's going to be 0.5% of the grid. And then here I'm going to add a label. We're going to set its text to the, and the text color to white, font size to large, and we're going to set it in the first column. So grid column, it's going to be 0. Its horizontal, well, we'll say its horizontal options will be the full width, but its horizontal text alignment will be right or end, and its vertical options will be at the start of the screen, and the same with the vertical text alignment, it's gonna be at the start. So let's see how that looks. There it is, that's in the middle, and we can add another label same way. We can set this to be chat, but this will be in the second column, and its vertical, not its horizontal text alignment will be start. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks okay. It has a small gap in there in between them, so I can remove that by setting its column spacing to 0 for the grid, and column spacing 0. There's still a small gap, no, but that's fine. What I want to do is encompass one of the words within a actual box, a grid box. So instead of having a label in here, I'm gonna add a frame. That's so a frame, and we're gonna set its horizontal options to end, its vertical options to start, its background color to, let's set it as a red for now, and we'll change it, and I want to set its padding to 5 pixels and its margin to 0, and I'll cut the label and put it in here, and as we'll need to set this frame be in the first column of the grid. When I save, it's going to reformat this due to the extension we added in our first lesson. So we can see that it's added a box in there, the text is in the middle, but now these two words are out of position somewhat. So we can fix that by adding a padding to the second word of 5 pixels to the top. So let's do a padding. Now if I just do a 5 here, it's gonna add 5 pixels to the left, top, right, and bottom. So I'm gonna, that's the order as well, left, top, right, and bottom, and we want 0 on the left, 5 on the top, 0 on the right, and 0 at the bottom. If we save that, that's just gonna put these yeah, on the right horizontal axis, let's say. What else do we want? We will need a better color for this one, but we can leave it as is for now. So that's more or less our loading screen for now. One thing I'd like to change is this top blue bar. Now, we can change this in our Android settings. So in here under resources, we have a values tab and we have a styles tab. Now in here you're gonna see all of the styles that are used within the app, and the color primary dark is the actual color here at the top. If we were to have a navigation bar at the top, the background color would be picked from the color primary, but we're gonna build our own navigation top bar. We don't need it from Xamarin Forms. So let's change the color primary to actually, not sure if I can do black in here. Can I do black? Let's see. I think we need I'm not sure what the hex color is for black. This might be white. I think I'll need to recompile the app for it to pick up that change. And there we go, and that set it to white. So what's the hex color for black? Let's have a look. Hex color black. That's 00, there we go. So that was fairly straightforward. So we need to set it as 000000. Save that, rebuild it. So we're going to change this page as well. This is just for Android that is getting displayed. That's why we need to build a custom loading screen that will be shared between Android and iOS. The page you see initially is being picked up from here, the splash screen, which launcher background. Actually, we can use, so it looks at colors in here. And it says launcher background, but if I do a black background, that's gonna pick that's gonna set its launcher to a black background. And we can add, so under drawable icon, so there's an icon for each screen resolution. That's what these folders are for. So you have low resolution, medium, high, extra high, and then I think this could be for tablets. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest, but that's what these folders are for. So depending on each mobile phone resolution, it's gonna pick the appropriate icons from its specific folder, and in each one it's gonna be slightly smaller. So we're gonna change the icon in here once we get around to actually building the app. But let's just confirm that that's changed the launcher background for our Android app. There you go. So that's now black. It has Prism library, which is the icon in here, but we'll get to change that. And then this will be our custom loading screen. Now, one thing we want to do after we finish loading is take them to our main page. So let's do that now. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is this view model base, which gets automatically created by Prism. What this is, it's just some pieces of functionality that Prism recommends you use in each of your actual pages. So when we created our loading page, you can see that by default it inherited from bindable base. And what bindable base does, it adds this function here, set property. Now what this does is it links the view to the view model. So set property says whenever a text box changes its value, notify the view model and send that value back to get processed. So that's what this bindable base inheritance is. Now it also inherits from initialize, which is this what's it called, method or function. Well, it's not a function, it's a method, and this basically runs as soon as the page loads. Navigation aware, which adds these methods here. So when something is navigated to or navigated from, these get called if you inherit from navigation aware, and destructible just says when this page gets destroyed, run this this method here. So this will be useful when you use an event, for example. So if you, in your view model, if you subscribe to an event, when you destroy the page, you need to unsubscribe from that event. Otherwise, the page will not be able to get destroyed, and it's just going to hang in memory in the backend, and you can have a memory leak and just crash your app if people just go back and forth between the pages. So that's our view model base. We're gonna update it to fit our needs. Just wanted to make you aware of what it does. So in our loading page in here, let's inherit from view model base as well. Now you can see in here that it says that you need a different constructor. That's because the view model base constructor accepts a navigation service as a parameter, and that navigation service is injected in our app.xamarin here. So where is our navigation service? Let me just so it's we just registered the pages for navigation, not the navigation service itself. That's being registered automatically by Prism. So if I just do a control dot on here, doesn't it allow me to implement? Let me try again. So I'll just change signature. That's not what we wanted. So what we can do in here is do navigation service, import that, and we're gonna call it navigation service, and that inherits from base, and we can pass in the navigation service in here. So by doing this, it's just gonna inject the navigation service into our loading page, and now we can use the navigation service variable to just navigate between pages. Now, as we've seen, the view model base also has a initialize method, so we can just do override initialize, and that's crashed my Visual Studio a bit. There we go. So when this page gets loaded, we'll make this an async method, and we'll do a wait navigation service dot navigate async to our main page. There we go. So this will be instant, and we won't be able to see the animation, so we can just add a small delay to this. So I can do task.delay, task dot, so we don't have task. If I do a control dot, that will allow me to import the task namespace. And if I do a delay, let's say 1500 milliseconds, which is 1.5 seconds, let's give this a test and see how this works. So it was fairly fast. I'm not sure if you've seen that. One other thing to mention, so we haven't added this to our loading page because we don't need to, but when you load your main page, we also will need to add a navigation page, and this will basically tell the backend framework to stack all of the pages sequentially, so you can go back and forth between the pages. Otherwise, they're just going to be static pages and you won't be able to go back from one page to another. So we can do that by adding here name of navigation page. Is it navigation? Actually, it's in here. Let's see what it's called, and it's called navigation page. That's what we need to add. So we need to add the name of the navigation page. I'll do a control dot to import the namespace, and it's Xamarin Forms, is it? It is, yes. And between these two, we'll also need to add a is this slash or backslash? I think it's slash. So we need to add a slash between these two page names. If you've seen initially when we built the app, when it first navigated to the main page, it had a navigation page before it. So let's test this again, and you'll see that it's gonna have a top navigation bar now that we've added a navigation page in here. There we go. So it only has the name at this point because it's the first page in the actual stack, but if we were to navigate to the next page, it would have a back button as well. So let's quickly test that out so I can show you. I'll just create a test page, a new item. I'll quickly go here, content page, and we'll call this what should we call it? I'll just call it test. I will delete it afterwards. So it's created our test view model, our test XAML page, and let's go to our main page. We can again override our initialize. We can set this to be asynchronous, and then we can do await navigation service dot navigate async. And this time we just need to put the name of the test page. Is it just test? I think it's test, yes. So the namespace isn't added for our views, but I can just do a control dot. And as you can see, the first option over here is to use that specific namespace. Click on that, and this should take us to our second test page, and we should have a back button in there as well. So let's have a quick look, because that's the second page in our navigation stack. So this will go one after the other. Now there we go. And our test page doesn't have anything on there. That's not what I was expecting. Why is that? So let's have a look back on our main page. I'm just gonna right click and close everything but this. Not that. So our loading page, it's gonna navigate to our main page. One thing I still want to add, I believe. Yes. So let me try this and I'll explain in case this works. So what this does, if you add it at the start, it will remove any previous pages from the stack. So basically as if we were starting the app from scratch, not from scratch, as if we're as if that was the first page of the app. so it will just kick the loading page from the stack. So let's see if this works. It has not. So we have a navigation page, we go to the main page, and on here we just go to our test page, which is, oh, I know why. It's because we're inheriting from biddable base and not the base view model, because the base view model has our iNavigation aware implementation. So we need navigation. It's called iNavigation service, isn't it? Let me zoom in a bit. So iNavigation service, navigation service, and we need to inherit, and yeah, just inject it in here. And let's try this one more time. It's still nothing. Why is that? Let's go to our test. Do I need to add a title, you think? Let's have a look. So if I set the title to a test page, save that and rerun the app. No. Now I could try something else, but I'm reluctant. So in our main page, what else do we have here? Go back at async, so that just you can bind to a button to go back to the previous page as long as it's in the navigation stack. So it might be that the top navigation bar is not displayed in here for a reason, but let's see if the page is actually in the stack, and if we link it to a back button, it's actually gonna take us to the main page. And one more thing I want to add on the main page as well. Let's add a delay in here as well. So I'll do a task, I'll import the namespace and do a delay. So task.delay of, let's say, 2 seconds before we navigate to that new page. And on our new page, I'm just gonna add a grid. I'm gonna set it to this size of the screen, and in the middle I'm just gonna add a button, text, go back, and set this as well. I'm gonna set it in the center, its background color to, let's say, blue for now. It's text color to white. Now we haven't covered this, but I'll just quit. Oh, this isn't allowed. I'll just remove it then, that's fine. One thing we'll need to do is bind to a command in the backend. Now I can do this, so we can do so if I type in POPP and then double tab, it will create a I forget what the name is. It's basically going to create a private and a public property. So we can set this to a delegate command, and it's going to go back. So this is our private property, and our public property, just going to remove it because it's going to be go back, which will go back now. So what this does, it sets the public property to the private property, but if the private property is null, which is indicated by these double question marks, we can open parentheses and say go back needs to be a new let me just take this on the new line. So go back needs to be a new delegate command. It's gonna be a asynchronous command. It's gonna run execute go back. It's gonna wait. So what this does is it says this go back public command has the value of the private command. If the private command is null, then create a new command and execute this private task over here. And what this private task is gonna do is gonna go await navigation service not go back async. So it's just gonna go back one page. Now we need to bind to this command, so we can go back to our test and we say the command for this, we're gonna bind it in parentheses, we're gonna bind it to go back. Let me just add a breakpoint in here to confirm it's getting run. Oh, that's initialized, that's not where I wanted, so in here. That's our main page, and this is, oh, look, so now it's added the top navigation bar and the back button over here, which is by default gonna take us back. So the reason it's now added that top navigation bar is because we added this delay. When this was initialized, it probably wasn't initialized properly and it didn't have time to add this in there. So let me refresh that. I'm gonna remove the delay just to test this in a minute. Let's test this out. So we've seen that when we press this back button here, it takes us back. If I press the button, you can see that it's gonna run this private task, and if I do continue, it's gonna do the same thing. It's gonna go back to the main page. So we know that the navigation stack works. Now let's just confirm what I just said. If I'm gonna comment this delay out and run it again, let's see if this will fail to initialize our top navigation bar again. Yeah, so as soon as we've commented this out, its top navigation bar has disappeared. So it usually we wouldn't do this in an app because it wouldn't just take us straight to it. It would first need to initialize. Let's see if the navigation stack works though. No, so we actually just broke the app. As you can see, the whole navigation stack has just said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know of any pages. It's just now broken. So when we initialize, we have to be careful not to go to a different page without first confirming that that page has initialized properly. So I will add this. Well, actually I will stop the app and I will delete this test page that we've just added, because that just we've tested that and we've seen it works. I'm going to remove this from our main page. We need to remove this register of our test page as well from app.xml. I'm going to save everything. So that's that. We went through our project. We had a quick overview of what the project consists of, and we've improved that project by adding animations and icons. Next time we're gonna look at actually improving our base view model with a little bit more functionality that will be useful. So for example, we will set an isBusy variable so we know when to display our loading animation, and we'll also start creating our backend projects to create the services to pull our data from our backend database. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.